All right, so we're diving into the Zodiac Killer today. I mean, this case, right, it's been years, decades, really, and it still gets to you.
It's wild, isn't it? You've got the ciphers, the letters, the costume, a killer who just
It's
disappears.
like he walked out of a movie, but it
Mm.
was all too real.
Mm.
And that's what we're looking at today, the why, the how, the what ifs. No surface stuff. We're going deep on this one.
The psychology of it all, the dead ends, the reasons it just won't go away. I'm fascinated by it.
Me too. So let's go back to the beginning. December 20th, 1968. Quiet road, Vallejo, California. Young couple changes everything.
Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday. That's where it starts. Out on a date, lover's lane, adds to the whole, feeling of vulnerability.
Like someone's always watching. And the brutality, right from the start, it's shocking. But he doesn't stop. July 4th, 1969, Blue Rock Springs Park.
Everyone's thinking fireworks, celebrations, but for these victims, terrifying. And this time is crucial because we have Michael McGough.
Survivor.
Exactly. Eyewitness. Now, think. This is 69. Forensics aren't what they are now. McGough's account. That's huge for the investigation.
So they get a description, a lead on what the Zodiac might actually look like, and then it gets even creepier. Darlene Farron, the woman killed in that attack, she was found 30 feet from where another double homicide happened a few years before. Unsolved.
The question that's haunted everyone since, was the Zodiac active even before we thought? Was this the beginning or just what we knew of?
Chilling.
Mm-hmm.
Like a shadow. And then with Lake Berryessa, September 27th, same year, it's not just a shadow anymore. The costume, the symbol, he's putting on a show now.
Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard.
Yeah.
And it's an escalation. He talks to them before, engages. It's not enough to just kill. He wants the attention.
Look at me, I'm in control. And the fact that Hartnell survives that. Another message, maybe?
I mean, he's playing a game, no doubt. Cat and mouse with the cops, and each time someone survives, it throws him off.
Because it's not just about the killing, it's about the fear, the control.
Exactly. And just when they think they're starting to figure him out, he changes the whole game.
October 11th, 1969, Paul Stein, a cab driver.
Mm-hmm.
But not out in the middle of nowhere this time, right in San Francisco. Broad daylight. Completely different.
See, that's what gets me about the Zodiac case. Just when you think you're seeing a pattern, he flips it. Was it confidence? Desperation? Or was he just messing with them, proving he could do whatever he wanted, wherever he wanted?
Because disappearing wasn't enough. He wanted to be heard, too. He starts writing to the press, right? Had to be part of the story.
Oh, totally. Narcissist wanted the attention, even if it was infamy. But those letters, it wasn't just about claiming what he'd done. It was about keeping everyone terrified.
The San Francisco Chronicle, the Examiner, the Vallejo Times-Herald. These weren't little papers. They were the news. Imagine opening that up your morning coffee, and bam, there's a letter from a killer.
The effect on people, just thinking about it, you'd be terrified. Suddenly, he's not just out there, he's in your home, in your head. And the letters weren't just, I did this. They were promises of what he'd do next. The whole city was on edge.
And it wasn't just the letters, right? It was the ciphers, too. Like, he wanted to make it a game, leave a trail, but make it almost impossible to follow.
Oh, absolutely. Control, again. And the ciphers themselves, not just some basic code. The Z408 one, the one those teachers cracked, that was complicated. Letter symbol substitutions designed to make it tough.
And the message inside about wanting to make people slaves in the afterlife, chilling stuff, must have been both a relief to break it, but also terrifying to see what it said.
For sure. And what's interesting, Z408, scary as the message was, didn't really give any clues to who he was, just a peek inside his head, But Z340, that one was a big one for a long time.
50 years they worked on that thing. Finally cracked it in 2020, right? Technology finally caught up. But it didn't give up his name, did it? I remember that was a letdown. Everyone thought for sure that was it.
Huge disappointment. Z340, everyone thought. That's the key, the smoking gun, right? But no. More insight into his thoughts, his motives, yeah, but no name. More pieces to a puzzle that maybe doesn't even have a full picture.
Makes you wonder, was he messing with them on purpose? Or did he just get off on making it complex, even if it meant he might not get caught?
$1 million question. And that's the Zodiac case, isn't it? Wants to be known, but also stay hidden. It's a contradiction. But we can look at the facts, try to understand who'd do this, even without all the answers.
So the suspects, Arthur Lee Allen's name is always there. Seemed to fit, didn't he? Matched to the sketch, that story from his friend about wanting to kill couples, used the name Zodiac. Almost too perfect.
Allen was a strong suspect for a long time. The evidence, the stories, it all pointed that way. But you need proof, right? Fingerprints didn't match. And DNA, well, that wasn't really a thing back then like it is now.
So even when you think you've got him,
Yeah.
Sometimes it just doesn't link up. And it wasn't just Alan, right? Lawrence Kane's name comes up a lot, too. What was his deal?
Kane, now that's a weird one, lived near some of the crimes, mental health issues. That alone gets you on the radar. But Michael McGough, the survivor, he said Kane might be the guy. Imagine surviving that, seeing that face, and then years later you think you see it again.
No way. The stuff nightmares are made of. No wonder this case got under everyone's skin. But even with Kane, with Alan, it stayed unsolved. Then the case breakers come along, a few years back.
They blew the whole thing wide open, said they had him, Gary Francis Post was the Zodiac, scars, hidden messages, links to other cases. They had a whole theory.
Oh, I remember that. Huge news. Everyone thought, this is it, finally. Did they have him?
Here's the thing. They did amazing work, don't get me wrong, but it was all independent. Cops, officially, they never confirmed any of it. Evidence is there, but
Yeah.
doesn't 100% close the case.
So the Zodiac wins again, even after all this time. Maybe that's why we're still so drawn to it, you know? That feeling that maybe, just maybe, we could be the ones to figure it out.
Totally. And everyone's got their theories, some crazier than others, but that's what happens. A case gets big. It's not just a case anymore. It's a story we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
About the dark side of people, about mysteries, about, I don't know.
About needing to make sense of things we can't always make sense of.
Exactly. And speaking of making sense of things, what about the psychology here? Is there a profile, a type of person who do this? Not just the killings, but the games, the letters, the whole thing.
It's like trying to track something that vanishes as soon as you get close.
You said it. With the Zodiac, it's not just what he did, it's how he thought. That's the puzzle.
So break it down for me. What kind of person does this? What are the experts saying?
Well, the narcissism, that's a big one. The costume, the letters. It's all got to be about him. He needs that attention, even if it's because he's terrifying people that need to be seen as smarter, better, even if what he's doing is horrific.
Like he thought he was above it all, playing a game no one else even knew the rules to.
And controlling it, right. Cypher's, again, it's not enough to just kill. He has to make it a puzzle only he can solve, make everyone else dance around it.
And the fact that he was never caught, that feeds into it, doesn't it? Like,
Right.
Did he win?
In a way, maybe that is the victory for a mind like that. Not just to disappear, but to become this legend almost. Makes it harder to separate fact from fiction.
Which is what we're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
So, bigger picture now. What did this case change? How we catch these guys, profile them, all that.
Oh, the Zodiac case changed everything. It used to be a killer was, what, in the shadows. This guy, he wanted the spotlight. Made everyone realize that was a whole new type of dangerous.
Using the media, too. He was early to that game.
Absolutely. And we see it all the time now, but back then, it was unheard of. Showed everyone what could happen.
And speaking of how it changed things, I mean, we're talking about him, right? Movies, shows, books.
He's more than a case file now. He's a story. And everyone wants to tell it their own way, find their own meaning in it.
That need to solve the puzzle, right? To believe that even in the darkest stuff, there's an answer somewhere.
There is, I think. Maybe not always the one we want or expect, but that search is important. Never stops.
No easy answers in this one. So last thought, since you're the expert here, if you were handed the Zodiac case today, fresh start, what's the first thing you do?
Wow, that's the question, isn't it? You know, honestly, back to the beginning, every photo, every report, every word anyone said back then, start there.
Looking for something everyone else missed.
Gotta be something. Maybe it's tiny, maybe it's been staring us in the face this whole time. But somewhere, there's the answer.
Well, that's the thought to leave us on, to everyone listening. Thank you for joining us. The Zodiac case, it's more than just a story. It's a reminder to keep asking questions, never give up on the truth, wherever it leads. Until next time, stay curious.